With the selection of a jury in the Shawn Diddy Combs case almost complete, prosecutors are preparing for opening arguments on Monday. But they admit there's a snag. One of their key witnesses against the rapper appears to have gone missing. This comes as we learn that Combs' ex-girlfriend, who was seen on video being assaulted by the rapper, is pregnant.
The trial of music mogul Shawn Diddy Combs hasn't even begun, yet it's already spiraling into chaos. A key witness for the prosecution has mysteriously disappeared, while new allegations continue to emerge. The legal storm surrounding Diddy shows no signs of calming as investigators scramble for answers. What's unfolding is a troubling tale of influence, secrecy, and intimidation.
Is a key witness in the Shawn Diddy Combs trial backing out? Victim number 3, as she's called, was set to testify against the music mogul. The name of victim number 3 was going to be revealed when she took the stand, but the woman has apparently gone missing, and prosecutors say they've been unable to reach her.
People just get nervous, and this person could just be nervous and just has had second thoughts.
If the prosecutor can't find this witness, how might it affect the case?
Look, I don't think it's going to have a tremendous effect. The prosecution is going to call a number of alleged victims. So look, this is just one less.
Someone else is also getting cold feet. A juror sent an email to the judge asking to be removed from the panel for issues of personal well-being.
One of the most crucial witnesses in the federal case, identified as victim 3, has reportedly gone missing, according to prosecutors. Efforts to contact her have failed, and her sudden disappearance could deal a serious blow to the prosecution's case. Legal experts warn that the absence of a witness of this importance can significantly destabilize a high-profile trial. In cases with intense public scrutiny and high stakes, fear often plays a major role. While the prosecution may still proceed, losing her testimony complicates their path forward. A former FBI agent told NewsNation that protective measures are typically in place for key witnesses in cases of this magnitude.
Building a case against someone as high profile as Diddy is not an easy job. So I'm going to bring in former FBI agent Bobby Chacon to talk more about this. So off the bat, Bobby, how do you build a case against a celebrity as well-resourced and powerful as Diddy?
Well, it takes a lot, Sylvia, as you know, because the allegations in this case range from like 2004 to 2024. So this is going to be going on for 20 years, and they're finally getting around to charging him now and trying now. That's because it's so difficult to get people who are not afraid to come forward. This person was powerful. They were rich. They had a lot of influence. They were allegedly violent. So all of those things add up to making it very difficult for investigators to get people to talk to them about these. You add in the fact that many of these things are embarrassing. They're of a sexual nature. They're private. They take place behind closed doors. And that adds to the reticence of witnesses coming forward and talking about these things. And so investigators have to do a lot of long, hard work in getting these witnesses to trust them, number one, to make sure they feel like they are being treated, not as a pawn in a game to get Diddy, but as people that really care, that the prosecution cares about these people. And so you bring in victim witness people who are trained really and have the background in talking to people who are maybe victims of alleged sexual violence. And so you bring in specialists that kind of can talk to people like that and get them to open up about these things and to trust the investigators and trust the prosecutors, that they're just not going to be thrust into a situation. You have to get them to trust you so that if someone does make a threat, even if it's veiled, people can do that on social media now. They can say things that are kind of a little bit wonky sometimes, or these veiled threats. So if the witnesses that you're developing are comfortable enough with you, they will bring those threats to you, or those situations where they might feel threatened. You always have on the federal level, we have the witness protection program, right, which is one run by the U.S. Marshal Service. That's kind of a very extreme step, because that's somebody you change their identity, you move them to another part of the country. They're not allowed any contact with previous people in their lives. So it's the witness protection program is one of the more extreme steps that you take. But there are other steps you can take to ensure the witness that they're not going to be subject to that. If anyone does make a statement that's even considered something like that, you send a team to go out and investigate and to question that person and to get them to maybe make a retraction or to kind of back off a little bit. So you do have to do a good job at making sure the witnesses are comfortable that if anything should happen that they feel uncomfortable about, they bring it to you, and then you have to address it in the ways that are.
The charges against Diddy are serious and far-reaching. Prosecutors allege he ran a criminal enterprise through his businesses, including Bad Boy Entertainment. He's accused of using intimidation, weapons, and both physical and psychological abuse to control and exploit victims. The indictment portrays him not just as a music mogul, but as the orchestrator of a long-standing abusive network. Witness intimidation is also among the allegations, with claims that he attempted to silence individuals, even from behind bars.
Well, I mean, on the surface, if the prosecutor's claims are true, this seems like pretty much textbook witness tampering, right? I mean, it appears to be an effort to either, in some cases, intimidate witnesses from testifying against him, or there have been other reports of sort of inducing people to make statements in his defense. There was some allegation that in one instance this was a statement that he, in essence, dictated or drafted with a woman who made a statement that was attempting to rebut one of the accusers, I believe, in a civil case against him. I mean, witness tampering is bad. The things that Shawn Combs is accused of are terrible. He pleads his innocence. The justice system will presumably work its way through.
It is likely that there is some underlying truth to at least some of the allegations. There might be a lot of underlying truth to a lot of the allegations. There's probably some bandwagoning going on. We spoke to an attorney who's for one of the alleged victims of Diddy a few weeks ago. I believe Amber Nomiki and I did, and they said they had calls, they had information, they had people, hundreds of them, come forward. They're not going to represent all of them. They're, which ones have evidence that can be compelling. What are the best cases to bring that? I also saw a story in the New York Post. This is from a week ago about Diddy stuff that I wanted to read the headline of. Woman claims she saw minors dressed as Harajuku Barbies at Shawn Diddy Combs' freak-off parties, what he was describing there to Conan so many years ago. Said these were sex-fueled parties with what she initially thought were little people dressed as Japanese Barbies. And she said, this is her talking to TMZ, are those midgets? And she actually thinks they were kids dressed up in sexy.
Oh, gross.
So again, that's just from someone who provided this information to TMZ for a documentary, but pretty disgusting.
It is. No.
Meanwhile, disturbing new allegations have emerged involving singer Aubrey O'Day. Gene Deal, a former associate of Diddy, claims the music mogul planned to exploit O'Day's girl group for personal profit, describing his intentions as predatory. Deal alleges that Diddy saw the group not as artists, but as tools for manipulation and control. These claims add to a growing list of accusations painting Diddy as a figure who used his power in the music industry to manipulate and exploit others for his benefit. As more voices come forward, the legal and public pressure surrounding the case continues to intensify.
And I know you ain't signed it. I know you ain't signed an NDA, clearly. But did Diddy make his artists sign NDAs and people that work for him?
Well, a lot of these rappers, a lot of these industry people, anybody who does business nowadays with the internet, they have NDAs, non-disclosure. That means that if you work for them, you around them, you can't disclose any of the information about them. It's the same thing that he gave to all his artists when he gave them their publishing back. I'm gonna give y'all publishing, but y'all can't talk about Janice Combs, Justin Combs, Sony, Bad Boy, or anything that happened. Y'all can't talk about none of that. But there's some artists that didn't say anything, that didn't sign it, and they able to talk about anything they want to. And I think that's those girls that was, I think Danity Kane. I think a couple of them didn't sign it. And boy, oh boy, they probably gonna go after him too. Cause I heard him, and I'm giving you this, Aubrey. He stood up there and he said in front of a lot of people. We were in the studio. And I said something to him and walked out the studio. He said, yo, I'm gonna drug their ass off and pick them up and pimp them out to my nick. He said, I'm gonna drug them out. I'm gonna get them all on drugs and I'm gonna pimp their ass out to my nick. And I was like, there's somebody kids, and walked out. And it's somebody that heard me. It's somebody that heard me. I mean, well, it's not only somebody that heard me, it's somebody that I know who was in the studio at the time that happened, and I still talk to him today. And we were just talking about that the other day. He done moved back to Indiana. I don't know why. I'm gonna give you that one. He said he was gonna drug them all out and pimp them out.
During a federal raid on Diddy's mansion, agents reportedly discovered what they referred to as freak-off tapes, graphic recordings said to depict disturbing and potentially incriminating content. Diddy's legal team swiftly moved to suppress the footage, arguing that the search was unconstitutional. However, Judge Arun Subramanian ruled the evidence admissible in court, marking a major setback for the defense. The tapes, which may be shown publicly during the trial, could play a pivotal role in shaping the jury's perception. Their inclusion not only raises the emotional stakes of the proceedings, but also intensifies the scrutiny on Diddy's alleged actions and abuse of power. The tapes, according to sources close to the investigation, are said to involve high-profile individuals and were cataloged as part of a broader probe into alleged sex trafficking, coercion, and exploitation tied to Diddy's inner circle. The ruling to admit such evidence into open court signals the prosecution's growing confidence and suggests they are preparing to present a narrative of sustained abuse, manipulation, and control. For Diddy's defense team, the decision represents a legal and reputational crisis, potentially shifting public opinion further against their client as the case heads toward trial.
Shawn Diddy Combs looking to suppress evidence in his federal trial. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky is back with the story. Good morning again, Aaron.
And to you, Michael. You'll remember federal agents from Homeland Security Investigations were hardly shy when they raided Shawn Combs' opulent homes in Los Angeles and Miami, guns drawn. The jailed music mogul now argues those searches and other searches of his iCloud accounts, electronic devices, and New York City hotel room following his arrest were unconstitutional. His lawyers argue evidence obtained through those searches must be suppressed. Diddy's lawyers say the government presented a grossly distorted picture of reality when applying for the search warrants, omitting certain facts and including salacious details from an unnamed producer that were never credible. Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. The defense is also arguing here his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, was a willing participant in drug-fueled sex performances called freak-offs, not coerced as prosecutors allege. This latest challenge to his case comes 3 months before trial, and as Combs loses one of his attorneys, Anthony Rico says under no circumstances can he continue to represent Combs. He offered no details about that decision, Robin.
Okay. All right, thanks to you.
Civil attorney Andrew Van Arsdale, who represents dozens of accusers, told CNN that he has more than 400 additional potential claims prepared. Many from individuals have not yet come forward. He says fear remains a major barrier. Fear of retaliation, of lost careers, and of a justice system that may fail them. His remarks echo attorney Tony Busby's earlier statements, suggesting the current legal action is only the beginning of a much deeper reckoning. Van Arsdale emphasized that many of these individuals are still weighing the risks of speaking out, especially against someone as powerful and well-connected as Diddy. He noted that patterns of systemic abuse and silence have long been entrenched in the entertainment industry, and dismantling them will take time. As more voices gather courage to step forward, the magnitude of the case appears to be far greater than initially imagined.
Come when we will name names other than Shawn Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will...
The lawsuits haven't stopped with Diddy. In a surprising development, other high-profile figures have been pulled into the legal storm. One lawsuit briefly named NBA superstar LeBron James, while another directly targeted rapper and business mogul Jay-Z. However, the case involving Jay-Z was ultimately dropped due to inconsistencies in the claims. Legal analysts caution that, while no formal action has been taken against these individuals, their mention underscores the sprawling and unpredictable nature of the investigation. The expanding scope of allegations suggests that the case may expose deeper issues within the entertainment industry where power, wealth, and influence have long shielded wrongdoing. Legal observers believe more names could emerge as additional claims are filed, raising serious questions about the accountability of elite figures in music, sports, and business. The chaotic nature of the lawsuits signals a legal battle that is far from over and likely to grow even more explosive in the weeks ahead.
There is an explosive new lawsuit that I'm going to break down for you, filed by a man named Joseph Manzaro in Florida. And this is actually in Florida federal court. So he is actually identifying himself in this lawsuit. He's not using a pseudonym. And he claims that he is a survivor of human trafficking and sexual exploitation, and more specifically, as outlined in the complaint, quote, plaintiff was drugged, transported against his will, and sexually maimed as a victim of a coercive and organized criminal enterprise beginning in 2015, orchestrated and facilitated by the defendants. The pattern of threats, concealment, manipulation, and psychological coercion persisted for years, extending the statute of limitations under federal tolling doctrines. Now, here is the kicker, quote, high-profile individuals, including Jacob Arabo, Jay-Z, Gloria Estefan, LeBron James, and Beyonce Knowles Carter, are identified as witnesses due to their presence or knowledge of the events surrounding the freak-off orchestrated by defendant Diddy. Wow. And freak-off, of course, is something that we've heard many times before, both in Combs' criminal case and other civil cases, to describe these prolonged sexual episodes, usually with sex workers. But Manzaro is suing Shawn Combs. He is suing a man named Eric Mejias. He is suing Brendan Paul, who's been described in another lawsuit as Shawn Combs' drug mule, Emilio Estefan, who is married to pop superstar Gloria Estefan, and Adria English, who filed her own lawsuit against Shawn Combs, claiming she too was a victim of sex trafficking. By the way, it's interesting he's not suing these other celebrities that I mentioned, like Jay-Z and Beyonce and Gloria Estefan, possibly because he doesn't believe their alleged liability amounted to a civil claim, but seems to want to call them as witnesses at a trial, although I have to imagine they will do everything in their power to quash any subpoena should this case progress, and we'll talk a little bit more about whether or not it will.
Even if Diddy avoids criminal conviction, the civil lawsuits are far from over. With over 60 cases already filed and hundreds more potentially on the way, the legal pressure continues to build. Some accusers have chosen to remain anonymous, while others have bravely stepped forward, saying they finally see a path to justice. Yet fear still lingers. Fear of retaliation and of a system that might once again fall short. As the court prepares to seat a jury, the case is shaping up to be more than just a trial of one man. It's becoming a test of whether the entertainment industry can confront a culture of silence and abuse. For Diddy, once celebrated as a hip-hop billionaire and cultural icon, this moment marks the most intense scrutiny of his career. The outcome could influence whether other survivors feel empowered to come forward, potentially rewriting the narrative of accountability in the music world.